Okay, we're going to get started. Good afternoon, everyone. I'm Jamie Gimaresi. I am the director of the Area Crime Analysis Center, and it's my pleasure to introduce the panel here. The subject is many notifications to custom notifications. First, we have Deputy Commissioner Joseph Gramaglia. He's the Deputy Commissioner of Operations with the Buffalo Police Department. Carmen Menza is the Chief of E District. Alphonso Wright is the Chief of C District. Those two districts are the heaviest shooting districts in the city of Buffalo. Chief of Detectives Dennis Richards, he's the senior police officer in the city of Buffalo. He came out in 1983. I just want to stress that. 82. Oh yeah, that's right. He was a class after me. I'm not in the police department anymore. We have Assistant Chief, newly appointed Assistant Chief. Everybody give him a hand. Karl Jacobson from the New Haven, Connecticut Police Department. And Chief Jacobson's going to start us off.
Good afternoon. I get to go first because I'm a New England Patriot fan and we clearly beat Buffalo. Sorry. So don't be fooled by the Shooting Review Daily Intel meeting slide, but that's how I'm going to start our segment on custom notifications. I'm going to give you a little bit of background of why I'm up here and what we have done in the city of New Haven to do with group and gang violence. From 2001 to 2011, we averaged 134 non-fatal shootings and over 20 homicides. In 2012, with the worst year being 2011, we had 34 homicides and 162 non-fatal shootings. Now, we're a fairly small city of 140,000 residents, so that's pretty high. And so what we had to do, we needed to fix this, and we teamed up with the National Network for Safe Communities, and we started group violence intervention. And our group violence intervention includes call-ins, custom notifications, and all the parts essential, target enforcement, and all the things the keywords you hear with group violence intervention. But today we're going to talk about custom notifications. And just since 2012, when we started to do GVI practices, we now average 63 non-fatal shootings from 2012 to 2018 and 10 homicides. And we had a low of 50 shootings in 2018 and a low of 7 homicides in 2017. So we're going down the right path. What I'm showing to you first about the daily intel meetings is because something that the National Network and other partners have said to us is we have a high rate of custom notification. So we notify about 99% of the people that we go out to notify. And that's very difficult because you have to find the people and you have to see if they're home. You can give a custom to their influentials. You can give them to the aunt, uncle, grandmother, mother. And we do that at times, but we pretty much find who we're looking for. And that's based on the daily intel meetings and what the National Network likes to call as shooting reviews. Every day, 4 days a week, first this is a quick, our GVI model is called Project Longevity, and it is done in Connecticut in the 3 major cities, Bridgeport, Hartford, and New Haven. We've been extremely successful. Bridgeport and Hartford have seen slight declines, but not, we've cut our shootings in less than half. So Project Longevity is what we call our group violence intervention. The shooting review, or basically a daily intel meeting, occurs 4 days a week. We don't have it on Thursdays because we have the typical ComStat, which, when I started this as a sergeant, we used to make fun of ComStat. Now I'm a chief and I have to run ComStat. But ComStat for us is open to the community, so it's more of a community-based thing. It's not a New York City yell at your supervisors thing. But 4 days a week we meet, and we have frontline district managers. We have 10 districts in the city run by lieutenants. We have patrol supervisors. We have all plainclothes units, FBI, DEA, and ATF show up. We have prosecutors. And basically we talk about what happened the night before. Or on Mondays, which is after a weekend of violence, hopefully not, but violence and activity, we could talk about what happened on the weekend. And we gather intelligence about who was involved and what's the best methods to stop that violence. And that's worked for us. What these meetings do is they basically break down big problems and make them smaller. break down the sections of, okay, there were shots fired on Winchester Avenue. What do we know about that? Sometimes we know nothing, and we move on. Other times we say, well, so-and-so lives here. We also have probation and parole at these meetings, or a representative of probation and parole. They have their computer out. Say the shots fired happened at 850 Winchester. They will check their computer to see who in the area of 850 Winchester is on probation or parole. They'll also check bracelets, parole bracelets, or probation GPS bracelets, see who might have been in the area at that time, and then we'll go from there. It's all investigative measures, but we're doing it together as a group. So say 850 Winchester, there's a guy that lives next door, and he's on parole for a shooting, and parole may say, well, we're supposed to see him in 2 days, but we'll move it up to today, and we'll see him today. And then they'll just simply call him in and talk to him, and we'll have the opportunity to be there and talk to him. Even without specific focus on GVI, we also do other things. So we had a rash amount of overdoses one time. We had 18 overdoses with 5 deaths on a Thursday. The next Friday morning meeting, we actually included the doctors from Yale University Hospital to talk about what was the product in the overdose deaths and how to attack it. And by Tuesday morning, we did search warrants with DEA and made arrests, because we knew we meet every day, except Thursday, but we meet 4 days a week, and everybody knew where to go, So we've been able to do burglary schemes off of these intel meetings, robbery schemes, whatever the crime is, we incorporate it into the meetings as well. They're held daily. Attendance is about 40 people from 15 different agencies. I mentioned the overdose deaths. But the most important part, there's a review of high priority individuals and groups, and what areas they may be in or how they may affect the violence. So during these meetings, we collaborate with district managers, determine where their people are and what they're doing with their personnel. These are all the units involved. The biggest parts that we added here were adult probation and parole, Department of Corrections. DOC will show up. They'll have a member of their intel unit from the local prison, which is in New Haven, and they will actually go back and start going through phone calls if we ask them to find out information. And it could be as simple as gunshots night before. Hey, please listen to Bob's, Henry's, and Joe's calls. And sure enough, we get a call 3 hours later going, hey, they were talking about someone shooting over there, and it might have been this person. So we're using all the resources available to us. We have the local police departments there, Hamden, West Haven, Yale. And listen, attendance obviously isn't mandatory. But once we started being successful, people started to come because they wanted to come and find out if we could help with their crimes as well and whatnot. So Hamden hadn't been in a couple days. Well, they showed up Monday morning because they had a stabbing at a local bar, one of their local bars, and they had 14 9mm rounds and 23 .45 caliber rounds dumped in the same area. So they immediately came, probably New Haven residents that did it, but they immediately came to our intel meeting because they know they can come there and get that information. And we, at that point, came up with people that were possibly involved, and we went out and did customs, and we made some arrests, and we'll talk about that. So this is just one of our incidents of the daily intel meeting, where we were able to take a guy federal with a gun based on the fact that we had been coming for months and talking about the specific individual. The federal prosecutors were there. They were interested in the case. When the shit really hit the fan, so to speak, and there was 3 people were shot, and this guy might have been involved, everything was already in place, and we moved on him. And we were able to get him for an assault first and federal gun charges. So how does customs notifications roll into that? So we use customs notifications for interrupting beefs, retaliation, breaking down retaliation. So in my city, my numbers are driven by, like, we shoot at each other, then he's going to shoot at me because he's his boy, and then my boy's going to shoot at him. So just the retaliation, you're going to see way more shootings and murders. So if you can get from that one gunshot incident and do something about it, even if it's just a custom where you're talking to somebody, offering them a job, telling them they're hot, you can interrupt those beefs. And that's been real successful in New Haven. And you also, at that point, reinforce the core GVI values, so to speak, to the community. Like, hey, put the guns down. Put the guns down. Our message when we go to a custom is, we want you safe, alive, and out of jail. But if you continue to shoot, we're going to take the full force of the FBI, the ATF, and every unit we have and put you in jail if we have to. But we want you safe, alive, and out of jail. And on a community side, that's been real successful for us as well. Because we'll talk about some situations where grandmothers and mothers and aunts and uncles have come and helped us because we came to them with a genuine concern for their family member. So it's a method to talk directly to people in the street group members, and also value members of the community. We try to bring community members with us. Most of our customs based off of intel meetings are kind of on the fly. We do have a community member who runs our Project Longevity. He comes with us all the time, as much as possible. But we also have thrown in some clergy. We've thrown in some other community members in the areas where these incidents had taken place or where these individuals live. So if we have the time, we actually do a packet. This is a packet for an individual from June of 2017. It's like a book report inside inside a nice binder, and it lays everything out for them. And this isn't just for them. This is for their family members as well, and we actually hand it to them. That's the cover letter. Then there'll be a letter. This cover letter will be from Stacy Spell, who's our project manager, and former Chief Campbell there, but our new chief is beyond it now. I have to update that slide. But basically it's saying you're at risk. You're at risk to be shot or shoot somebody, and we want to help you. And this is a presentation from the chief and the project manager to say you're at risk. The next page of it says, tell everyone what you hear today, our community not tolerate violence, and the new rules. The next group to kill or shoot, and it's labeled the most violent group, will get our focused attention. That's real important, too, because you're putting out the community message that way. These are really good if the person's not home because you leave it with someone in their family, and it's impactful. We do a little background history on them. In Connecticut, you can get anyone's criminal history online. So it's not, NCIC stuff that we can't reveal. You just print it offline and show. And it's funny because he or she might be living with an aunt, and they have no clue of their criminal history. And they're like, oh, man, you've done time on a shooting? Oh, you have multiple drug sale charges? So it's impactful. Now, this took us a long time. When we started this in 2012, we didn't use social media photos. We had started an intel group along with the intel meeting. I have an criminal intel unit, We've made up of 6 detectives who basically do this all day long, as well as interviews and put intelligence together. And they were really against, don't put the social media page up because they're going to know we look at their social media. Well, that was 7 years ago. Now they know we look at their social media, and they still put dumb shit on social media. So we put it up there because it's important, because I'll have an aunt say to me or a mother, oh, no, he doesn't hang with them. And then I'll just throw that up there. Oh, who's that? Who's that? Oh. And they'll be like, oh, I know them. You're not supposed to be hanging with them. So it's really impactful. And it's telling the community we're here to give you an opportunity. We also put up the latest big case that we had. This one's about a group called the Red Side Guerrilla Brims. We made 14 arrests on 7 cold case homicides. I told you about the numbers in 2011 of 34 homicides. These guys here probably were responsible for half those homicides. And we were able to make arrests federally. And that all came out of the intel meeting. So we put that up as kind of an impact. Then you have a choice. We are here to help you should you choose to leave a life of violence and choose life. Listen, we've gone to customs and we've had people say, I'm in fear for my life, I need to get out of town, and they turn around and give us information on a homicide, and we get them out of town. Doesn't happen very often. And then there's other ones where we're told, get the blank out of here, and we leave, but you know what? That person didn't shoot anybody in the next 3 to 10 days because they were afraid because we came there. So it's really a quick way. It's a quick way to impact your violence. What they can do, they can be delivered by anyone, regardless of the individual is on probation or parole. So the model says you call people in on probation and parole, and you do customs to people that aren't on probation or parole. We kind of do whatever we need to do. So if we think the shooter's on probation or parole. We'll call him into probation or parole. We'll do the custom there if we need to. That's why we have a high rate of actually meeting face-to-face with people. If we can go to the house, we'll go to the house. If we can meet them, we try to stay away from work because if they're working, they're probably not in too much trouble. But, if we have to go to work because there was a shooting, we'll go there. But we try to meet with the person face-to-face. And like I said, we bring an assortment of people. The model says, hey, bring someone from the community, bring a cop, bring a maybe probation or parole. But what I like to do is I kind of put it out there that in those intel meetings to the district managers, hey, we're going to go see Wayne today. Do you have any cops that are good with Wayne, that are actually have a good relationship with Wayne? And they'll text their cops and say, one might come back and say, yeah, I really like the kid and I get along with him. That person's going to have a bigger impact on Wayne than I am. So they'll go with our project manager. Our project manager is a retired homicide detective from City of New Haven, but he's also a huge activist. He's been retired 12 years. So our project manager kind of gets the police side, and he certainly gets the community side. And he has a strong message, and that's important for these. We need somebody like that. What they do, like I said, interrupt beefs, calming outbreaks of violence, reinforcing the core GVI values, and delivering that anti-violence message between call-ins. I've gotten to know some of our biggest offenders, family members through doing customs. I customed this one kid about 7 times, and he ended up going to jail for drug charges. He was on probation. He did engage in a shooting, we believe, while he was out. We haven't been able to close that case, but the biggest part of it is, even after we went to jail, his mother would call me and thank me for trying to make an effort to save her son's life. And even agreed with me that at this point in his life, jail is the safest place. Now, you don't get that from the community to the police unless you're making a concerted effort to show them that you care and that you want this kid to be all right. I actually like the kid a lot. But he's in now, and when he gets out, I know for a fact the first person he's going to reach out to, him and his mother, will be me, trying to help him get a job. And I'm good with that. That's where we want to be as a police department. And that's all I got for our beginning presentation.
Good afternoon. My name is Joe Gramaglia at the Buffalo Police Department. I'm joined by Chief Menza, as you met, Chief Richards, Chief Wright. We're here to discuss what we're doing with notifications. And every time you go to one of these events, there is some kind of a takeaway, and we're doing the similar type of work. And I've already got some takeaways from Assistant Chief Jacobson. So we have their slides, and we'll definitely be talking after. So, but we started a program. Everything, the best ideas are stolen from somebody else. So last year, coming from the symposium, kind of had a thought like we need to do more, we need to do something different, we need to be more aggressive. Our shootings last year were on the rise. We had a bad year for shootings and for shooting homicides, and we needed to make some changes. We've been a GIV partner since GIV's inception. And we left the symposium, as I said, with a question. How can we further reduce gun violence and make a difference in the lives of group members who want a chance at a decent life? And our answer, increase custom notifications. So, as a GIV participant, we certainly receive funding, and we're very thankful for that funding. We have different styles of policing, hotspot policing. We were doing some notifications that really, in past years, it really fell on the chiefs, Chief Menza, Chief Wright, to go out and do some of those notifications themselves. Well, we wanted to change what our officers were doing while they were utilizing that GIV-funded patrols. We felt that they could be doing something different than being in those hot spots and doing proactive work. So we came up with some goals, and in those goals we also developed some challenges. Part of our goals, again, was to rapidly increase our custom notifications using the GIVE funding provided to us. We want to provide a comparative analysis of prior year's notifications. So we've been doing some of these notifications, and I say some. The measurements weren't always the best, but we needed to be better with our documentation. But you'll see in the numbers that the large increase that we have, and the low numbers we had before aren't a true number, but they weren't not many more than what you're seeing, what you will see. So we also wanted to use shooting statistics from prior years as a litmus test to determine the success of those increased notifications. In its simplest form, are our shootings going down? Is it working? Some additional metrics of success, and we say this quite often: reducing the correlation between identified group members and crimes. We all know who's committing the vast majority, the 90% of our crimes. The ultimate measure of success is facilitating employment and/or education for a group member. So, we're asked, what makes this successful? Well, of course, reducing crime makes it successful, but how do we know we're being successful? And that's when we don't see someone anymore, meaning we're not seeing them on crime reports, we're not seeing them on social media, they've vanished from our radar. That's, to me, that's a win. The home run is if we can get them back in school or get them help with school, get them a job, get them to be a productive member of society and get away from the life. That's the home run. That's what we strive for. The challenges, and as Assistant Chief Jacobson said, it's funny that we have the same problems in different areas, but heavy resistance from some officers. Strong opinions that participation would mean jeopardizing intelligence, exposed what we knew. We have some officers that are very diligent with their social media presence. We have one lieutenant who's excellent at this. He's, we all call him our rock star. He works for Chief Menza. He talks about him all the time. Well, he is wholly embedded in social media with a lot of the players, and he flipped his lid. You're going to start showing people pictures, because that was one of the first things we said, is take the social media pictures and bring them with you on the notifications. And when you get mom, dad, aunt, uncle, grandma, whoever, insert person here, show them the picture. And they're like, you can't do that. No, yes, we can. What are you doing with those pictures? You can't prosecute someone posing with the gun in state court. So what are you doing with it? And they can't help themselves. They are going to pose again. They're going to do it again. And Chief Menza, I'll give him credit, he said it best, and he kind of tamped that down. When I stopped seeing these fools on social media challenging each other, that's when the shootings go down, because that's where we're seeing our shootings. It's not back in the 90s of the crack wars where they're fighting over drug turfs. It's social media beefs. They're calling each other out. Back in December of 2014, we started the month that was one of our deadliest months of the year, and everybody knows crime goes down in the winter when it's cold. And, if you didn't know, Buffalo's a little cold in the winter. But it started out with a social media post of a person that was in a wheelchair due to a shooting from 2011. He died in December of 2014, and one of the opposition gangs put his picture up in the wheelchair and wrote, "RIP, rest in piss." Well, that led to a dozen homicides that month alone, and countless other shootings. So social media is what drives our crimes. We had opinions that the new approach of knocking on doors of group members shown in social media posts was too dangerous. Well, I'm sorry, but we took the job knowing it was a dangerous job, so it's the job I took. That's what we do. You have to be careful in your approach. You have to be careful what you do, but that's the job. It's a dangerous job, and you took it. You knew what you got yourself into. The union president in our department called for a meeting, sat down with Chief Richards and myself, wanting to know what in the heck we were doing, and again, expressing the opinions of some of his membership that this was too dangerous, and going on knocking on people's doors that we know have guns because they're posing with guns. Well, sorry, but that's what we're doing, and that's the order going forward. And it was the kudos was one lieutenant declared that she would no longer work the overtime detail because unless the order was reversed. We got a very lengthy email that I won't share with you, but on all sorts of opinions. And again, it's a dangerous job, but it is what it is. We started calling these mini notifications. So when we left the symposium last October, Chief Richards and I are driving back, and we had a discussion and started talking about some of the things we learned here. And we said we're going to start driving this, driving. The mini notifications are police-only contacts with group members or other persons who are on a path to violence. So what we do is every day, the chiefs are going through social media packets. They're going through the intelligence that their officers are bringing to them. They're looking at shots fired reports, shooting reports, whatever, and they're developing a list. 1 day a week, each of the 2 districts. So as a city, we're doing them 2 days a week, and it could be more if we had a reason to do it. But generally, we're doing 2 days a week, 1 in E district and 1 in C district, and it's a lieutenant and 3 officers, again, using GIV funding. Thank you, Mike Green, for the GIV funding. What we're using the GIV funding, and they're going out, they're studying who they're going to go knock on doors. They'll take a list of, anywhere from 5 to 15 names, and they get who they get, and they're just going and going from one stop to the next. And they are police officers, and if a hot call comes out, yes, they are going to assist on that. They are going to back up. They are going to get involved with something. But the main focus is no longer just to go around and drive in a certain particular area and look to do some proactive police work. We need to take a step further. So we started calling them mini notifications. We just made that name up. Custom notifications, as you heard, but based on our positive mini notifications, candidates are then referred for a full custom notification. These longer sessions include both police and community partners. Officers are made to, we got a little typo in there, sorry. They go out with packets, they go out with information, they go out and they visit these individuals who, on these mini notifications on a weekly basis that are actually somewhat receptive. That's when we do the follow-up. The chiefs actually go out on these with our community partners. We have the Peacemakers in Buffalo that are funded through the city budget and also through GIV. Stop the Violence Coalition coordinator. We also have a gentleman, a pastor that's that works for the Mayor's Summer Youth Program. He actually helps with summer jobs. So everyone goes out as a partnership to try to take it to a next step and advance the cause in getting them help with education and or a job. So those are done about every 4 to 5 weeks. You're probably guessing 90%, 85% of the people are, not so interested, in that next phase, but it doesn't matter. The message is still getting across. We're removing the curtain of anonymity. So we tell them we're there. I was fortunate enough, I sat in a leadership panel at our supervisor school that was run recently, and one of our lieutenants, it's all of Erie County supervisor school, and one of our lieutenants, a new lieutenant, had asked a question about, how do we keep track? And he's a new lieutenant, so he wasn't exactly sure on the process, but how do we keep track so we don't go and hit the same person again in 2 weeks? I go, it doesn't matter. Go back in 2 weeks. I go, as a matter of fact, go back in 2 weeks because then they'll know you're really serious. So they're coming again. Yes, we're going to come and we're going to keep coming. So every shift they have to do what's called a GIV detail report. It's a little wordy here, but in essence, this is the documentation that they have to provide for every house they go to. So I chose this one to put up here because it starts off, you'd think, why are we going to this person's house? Go and speak with his mother, and I don't care who we talk to. Yes, we'd like to get the target, but if we get someone in the house, then that's just as good. We're getting somebody because we're really, we're opening the eyes to people. So we spoke with his mom. The father. So it's a single parent. The kid's in school. He seems to think that he's doing pretty good. He's getting good grades. Further states that he was only arrested one time for trespassing at the local mall, but here's where it gets better. He does not believe his son is involved in any criminal or gang activity. He states that the gun in the post is a BB gun. So you go from a kid who's in school, going to school regularly, getting good grades, and that's the get right there. So dad knows about it, claims it's a BB gun, and it's great that he did something. He took it away. He also is one step removed from 2 people that were murdered the prior summer. That makes him beyond a prime candidate to help him out with any assistance, any programs, because he already seems to get the value of education, seems like he's getting good grades, we're being told that, so he's a prime candidate to do this. So that's someone that we're definitely looking to visit. This is another report, a little bit different, but it's of a custom notification where the group went out. This gentleman that they spoke with, he had expressed an interest that he wanted to get back into a GED program. He wanted to improve his life. His mother states that she's hoping he learns from his mistakes and wants to move on from his friends that he's been hanging around with, who only wants to smoke weed and play games. Both Chief Menza and Chief Wright, and they do these together. They join forces and hit 2 different districts in the day. They wrote in there that overall it was a positive experience, and we'll do more follow-up. We're hoping, can lead a horse to water. We're hoping that given the materials they're provided, that they will follow up and and take advantage of the offer that's being given to them. So our statistics. So we pulled the first 6 months of the year. And if you look, our shootings with injury, from 18 to 19, we had, in the first 6 months of the year, we had almost a 38% drop in our shootings. And you can see an even larger drop from 2017. Our shooting victims, our shots fired calls, but here's the other thing. We're not just talking about shootings here, and that seems to be the focus of GIVE is gun-involved violence elimination, but you have to look at the robberies. You have different types of robberies, but also robberies with guns. And it was the same kids that were doing a bunch of robberies in 2018, and you can even see the number in 2017. They're not just going around and flashing with guns and shooting people, they're robbing people. We had a big uptick in Let Go app robberies. We had a big uptick in pizza delivery robberies. Well, when you're targeting the same people, it's also going to have an impact on your other crimes. And we had a significant drop in our robberies as well. And then you can see our custom notification increase. It seems to me there's definitely a correlation there. And it's not just what we're doing here. Our Commissioner of Police, he started a program, a specialized unit called the NET team, the Neighborhood Engagement Team. And there's 2 lieutenants and 10 police officers that are assigned to that unit. And their job is to go out and engage in the community. And again, we're all sworn police officers. They are making arrests when warranted, but their primary goal, they started a soccer league in its inception year in 2018. They've taken kids fishing. They've taken them to Buffalo Bills games, not the Patriots games. They've taken them to Sabres, to a hockey game. So they're going out and they're engaging right in the community. And it started out with some drug sweeps to clean up a particular area. Then they got the city to come out and clean up a lot. So it's a group effort. It's coming at everybody from all sides, but you have to get in the community and build trust. And that's what the Neighborhood Engagement Team, that's what their focus is on. Our custom notifications. So in 2017, 18, and 19, the attempts went up by 1,500%. Our targets contacted, when we actually found the person we were looking for, went up almost 400%. And just talking to anyone, just anyone alone, that was up 921%. Those are pretty big numbers. You can tell that we really changed our course and made it an absolute priority, 2 to 3 times a week, going out and just knocking on doors. And then the bottom numbers are, the top numbers are the full-blown custom notifications. The bigger impact is the bottom one, which is just the mini notifications, the police-only contacts. Again, some of those numbers in 17, 18 are a little skewed because the documentation wasn't where it needed to be, but the numbers aren't far off. So, but we're more diligent about our documentation. So, Mike Green was contacted, and if I'm wrong on that, Mike, correct me, but by a journalist who was doing a story on Thomas Abt, and that's Thomas Abt, who wrote a book. It came out in June. It's about anti-violence and how his plan can stop violence, stop shooting. So we were contacted to participate in this article, and we were pleased to do it. So we were contacted. The writer, the journalist, came out and spent some time initially with myself. He met with Chief Menza, and then we arranged for him to go on a ride-along. And he actually went out and he was pushing, and I was a little resistant at first because when you go on these custom notifications, you've got you're going into somebody's home. and they're a little suspicious. And it's like, hi, I'm chief, I'm captain. Hi, I'm from the Peacemakers. Hi, I'm a journalist, and I want to document what you're doing. It's not going to go over well. So very hesitant on allowing that. So what we came down with is we told him he can go on the mini notification, because sometimes they're going in homes, sometimes it's at the door, sometimes it's a quick. But we told him, look, gave him some ground rules, hang in the background. If they ask, we'll just, we'll tell them, who you are and what you're doing, but just kind of hang in the background and observe. So it turned out to be a very good article. It was very positive. It put, the extensive interviews with DCJS. Obviously it was about the author, but I felt we had a pretty good starring role. They sent the photographer down, took some photos. As you can see, just a couple of the photos. There's more, the other photos that you saw in the slides. That was the other thing. We let the photojournalist that came out, we let him go on a ride along. We had to give him the same rules and let him go to a couple of houses and explain, look, some photographs are going to be taken. You're getting into very touchy grounds when you're bringing journalists out on these. So our community partners are involved with this. As we said, an organization called Stop the Violence Coalition, the Peacemakers that are a funded partner. They wear yellow shirts. You see them everywhere they go. They are the streetwalkers. Some of them have been involved in criminal behavior. Others have had family members that they've lost to violence. They're on the street corners, the bus stops, the parties, anywhere, anytime, any place that there's large gatherings, vigils, anywhere where group members might be or there's a potential for violence. They are there, and we use them when it's better than having the police go in and deal with a situation. They actually at times become kind of that barrier between the police and the group members, or in touchy situations like a vigil, they're the ones that will make the contact for us. So they're very helpful. The yellow shirts, that's them out, taking their walk. The Mayor's Summer Youth Program is a partner. The Buffalo Employment Training Center, we just brought them on as a partner. So the Mayor's Summer Youth Program, he's got the keys to the summer jobs. Well, we want to keep these kids engaged all year round. So the Buffalo Employment Training Center, which is bigger than Buffalo, it's Erie County, they have the keys to a GED program. They get job offers. Corporations will come to them. They have a myriad of ways to get people engaged, get them back in school, or get them jobs. We have clergy coming out, and one new facility that's on the east side of Buffalo, it's called the Northland Workforce Training Center. It's part of the Buffalo Billion program. It's a advanced manufacturing training center that has service support, career coaching, job placement, financial aid, and counseling. So we had the pleasure last week or 2 weeks ago of taking a tour of this facility, and we were blown away by it. It's college. It's a community college and a state school. They have 1- and 2-year programs: electrical, advanced manufacturing, robotics. You have to apply. You have to have your GED, but they will facilitate you getting your GED if you don't have it. And then you have to apply. You have to get accepted, but they have people that will help them out every step of the way. They will provide babysitting. They will provide bus passes. Whatever it takes to get you there, they will get you there. I was a little startled. We asked the question of what the dropout rate in standard community college was. I guess I was a little naive, but it was 70%, or is 70%. We asked them what their dropout rate was. They only have or admissions rate, they only have a 20% acceptance rate, but they're adding that out of the people that come, not everybody comes back and takes up step 2. So out of everyone that comes, 20% are being accepted, but their graduation rate was 78%? 78% was their graduation rate. So I think that's a lot better than standard community schools. So we just developed a partnership with them. We have pamphlets that they gave us, and they have outreach teams, outreach workers, and we're looking to engage them now to take this a step further. How are we doing on time here? We still got a little bit of time. So we're going to have a session 2 where they're keeping us back, and we have a video of an actual custom notification. It's about 18 minutes long. I'll just go over the synopsis with you ahead of time. We can take any questions then, and we'll save the video for the second phase of this thing. And we'll open up to some pointers, the actual people that are doing the notifications. But in the video that you're going to end up seeing, officers went to a 14-year-old's home who was posting on social media with a gun. His mother knew that he had some issues, but she was unaware of some of the people and some of the things that he was doing. And you'll see Mom was very enthusiastic about when she finds out what he's doing. He claims that it was just a BB gun. Whether it was or it wasn't, we don't believe that it was. We believe that it was a real gun. You'll see it in the video. But it was a very positive 36-minute video. We had to crop it down in half. I don't think you want to sit here for 36 minutes and watch every part of it, although it was entertaining. But they were talking about his behavior. He's on probation because of a robbery, a let-go app robbery. So some of the things that were quite popular last year. They talked about the robbery. They talked about his probation status. His social media post, he said, was several months prior. He is involved with SNUG already. We heard talk about SNUG. He is involved with counselors. His mother feels that that he is in need of services. Maybe a little late in life to get some of those services. However, it's recognized, and better late than never in getting him some services. Some auditory processing services that probably is why he was not doing well in school. Not everything is due to behavior. There's a lot of learning issues that are involved with this. She also states that his stepbrother was killed several months ago. This gentleman, Mr. Swindle, who is very well known to our chiefs over here, and you live the life, and that's one of the consequences of living that life, and unfortunately, he lost his life. So I'll open it up to the other chiefs. I think I did enough talking, and then we'll save the second session for the video. I do think you'll find the video pretty enlightening. So we're new in the body camera business, and it's excellent video. So I will turn it over to any questions, and I'll let the chiefs hear.
I'll just say a couple words because I think that Deputy Gramaglia said most, and Chief Jacobson said the rest. So, but the couple things I just wanted to say, they talked a lot about the targets. Get to the targets. For the most part, the targets don't give a shit. The parents do, and those are the ones that we're really targeting. We go to them, Mom, they're hungry. They're hungry for help. What are you going to do to help my son out? Because we know he's on a terrible track. We know he's going to wind up in jail. We know he's going to wind up killing somebody. We know he's going to be shot. So that's who my audience is. The kid, he answers the door. He don't want to talk. He wants to slam the door in your face. And you got to keep going back, because the video that you saw, this is the third time we've been to the house and the first time we got to speak to somebody. So you can't give up on it. Mom even said, I don't answer the door for the police. So, you gotta be persistent with it. And this whole thing is just basically what it is. It's a different way of doing policing, because we know in the age we're living in right now, what do we have that we didn't have years ago? We have cameras. We're wearing the damn cameras ourselves now, right? Got 24-hour news coverage. You do something wrong, they're going to see it, and you're going to be headline news. So we have to deal with that. So it's a different way of doing it. Other things we have now, raise the age. Kind of ridiculous in my book, but maybe not in other people. We have a 17-year-old right now in the city of Buffalo who's on one-man crime spree. He's killed people, shooting people, armed robberies, home invasions. That's what we have to deal with, but that's part of what we have to deal with nowadays. What else do we have? The way they're doing the ATs now, automatic ATs, no bail arraignments. Those are others. So they're piling on us, it feels, so we have to do something else. So what do? Community policing, community engagement, and these custom notifications are a way of dealing with that. And like I said, the parents are hungry for it, and I think we have a real good concept here. We have a great concept, but we have to take this and roll with it. We see that it's working, but we can talk the talk, but can we walk the walk now, okay? Because the parents want something. They want that opportunity. They want this kid to get in the GED program. They want him to be in a mentoring program. They want him to have job opportunities. So we can do all the things that we say, but now the proof is in the pudding, and that's what I told Deputy Gramaglia. We have to improve upon this process, because we have a great concept here. This is a good strategy, but now we need to really make it happen. So that's why we're starting to partner with the Northland workforce and the Buffalo employment opportunities that we have there. So we're working on that, and like I said, it's definitely a work in progress. Just a couple other things I wanted to say. We talked about, well, first of all, the success that we're seeing is not just the Buffalo Police Department. We have other partners, some of those partners in the room. We have our probation, Erie County Probation here. We partner with them. They go out and do custom notifications on their own. Sometimes we partner with them. We have our snug partners. They're great. These guys are great. I mean, the shirts that they showed you before, what are they, the yellow shirts that the peacemakers work? Well, I remember I was a new lieutenant about a dozen years ago. And I was at a homicide scene. And all of a sudden I see all these, these big guys at the corner with these yellow shirts on. Who the hell are these guys? So I went up to them. I'm Lieutenant Menza. Who are you guys? Oh, we're the peacemakers. We're here to help you. Okay. Well, guess what? Now at a homicide scene, we're looking for these guys. Hey, call the peacemakers. Get them over here because they're helping us. Because when the family member's showing up there and they're wanting to give to their loved one that's laying there dead, that they won't take them away until the morgue gets there, we have to sit there and they hug them, they pray with them. They're good at that. We're not that great at that. We're getting better at it, though. So, like I said, in 12 years, we've come a long ways as being more community-oriented, community-passionate, showing the empathy. These custom notifications that we're doing now, and I think other people have alluded to this, it's just given a name now. It's nothing different that the police department hasn't done for years and years. I remember myself and one of my old captains, we would look at these pictures on social media and go, what the hell, this kid's just allowed to do this and nothing happens to him? So that's when we went and knocked on the door. Hey, Mrs. Smith, look at this. What? And she starts slapping the kid in front of you. You love it. But at least there was some accountability there. There was some consequences. But now we call it something. They're called custom notifications. We go out there, and again, the parents are, that picture says 1,000 words, that picture. When you show them that picture with the kid with the gun, sparks are about to happen. So, but it's great. And like I said, we just have to take this concept. We have to hone it. We have to make sure we know that this thing's going in the right direction and we have something to offer these kids as time goes on. So that's kind of it in a nutshell with us. He talked about one other thing with the Erie County Crime Analysis Centers here. They're great partners here. We use all the pictures that they give us, and that's what we're showing them on social media. Lieutenant Peterzak, who's a phenomenal lieutenant, he's the guy that gave us a little pushback at first. I mean, he's involved with the Snapchat and all this stuff because he's a young guy. He saw some guys one day on Snapchat posting with a gun on social media in a house. He knew the house. Don't ask me how he knew the house. Bottom line is, surrounded the house, got a search warrant. We went in there and got 4 guns out of the house. After that, we did a custom notification with the 8 people that were arrested in that house. We went to each and every house and did a custom notification. Since then, it didn't work great. The house got shot up, but with all that information, we were able to get an order to vacate on the house and brought peace back to the neighborhood. So these things do work. It takes a lot. I was just telling the deputy and some other folks here, one last thing I'm going to say and then let some other people talk. Just the other night, we had an armed robbery. 2 young guys armed a pizza delivery driver. Now, like I said, in the new day and age, this kid's a criminal justice student, the pizza delivery driver. And he says, I take criminal justice. I know the new discovery laws that are going in, and you're going to tell them what my name is and where I live. I'm not going to press charges. We got the 2 kids that did the robbery. They had the BB gun. They stuck it in his neck. So bottom line is, nothing happened. There's nothing we could do. But you know what we're going to do with that? We're going to do custom notifications because I'm going to go knock on the kid's door and say, hey, Mrs. So-and-so, just so you know, little Junior, he stuck a gun in the back of somebody's neck the other night and he robbed $350 from him, just so you know what's going on. So I think it's just giving some accountability, giving some consequences, and like I said, going in the future, we have to find a way to, like I said, now we got to walk the walk. So I'll turn it over to Chief Wright. I'm sure he has some comments.
I won't be that long. I'm interested to see the video also. Custom notifications. Well, let me start out first. I was a community police officer, one of the first community police officers for the city of Buffalo. And I also was a gang detail officer. I felt I did more by being a community police officer because I can reach out to people. It helped me become a football coach. I put a couple of players in the NFL, if you know, Chief. So Corey Graham and Doug Worthington. But we didn't have social media back then, so it wasn't as dangerous. The reason why I say it hits home is because back then I had 2 cousins, and they were both murdered, homicide. Wasn't bad kids, but hanging with the wrong people. No social media to see them posing on Snapchat or Facebook, to catch these problems. Early this year, the lieutenant says, hey, could you take a look at this guy? He seems like a great guy. He's posing with this one guy. I think we need to get to him. I look at it. It's my cousin. I'm like, wow, this kid. My cousin, honor student in college, and he works. But he's out there. He lives in a bad neighborhood, but he's out there hanging with the wrong gentleman. I pick up the phone. I says, listen, I talked to his dad. Dad called him. I heard a slap over the phone. He called me 3 or 4 times saying, I want a custom notification. I need to bring my son in. We saved him. He's doing great. No longer around that kid. But this hits home. You can do many custom notifications anywhere. We do them at football games. I have one of my lieutenants right here. I might see a guy, we have football games, which unfortunately the police have to be at. I'll go up to parents and the kid, and I'll do a mini custom notification right there. And you know what? Those kids don't forget. We are required, we do community days at each district. This is put on each year. And the satisfying thing that I get is when you see these kids, they come to your community day. And they'll go, look at here, Chief. Look what I'm doing right now. I'm no longer in trouble. So I know it's working. And the reason why I know it's working is because when we do ComStat, to see my shootings down every month. So it's got to be more of a buy-in. We all have to buy in. And custom notifications can be done by anyone. It can be done by peacemakers. It can be done by anyone. But I know it's working. Another thing about custom notifications. If you buy in and you show kids that, hey, I'm interested, I'm going to follow up, you get a lot more results. I have lieutenants now. They'll go, hey, we need to do a custom notification. We need to, I come in the office, I have red markers saying, hey, we need to do a custom notification on this kid. I have a great officer, Marcus Fears. I watched the video the other day. I wish we would have showed it. But the good thing was he got called back to a house by a young lady to let him know, hey, I'm doing well now. I left that crew alone. I'm working. I'm getting back into college. So I bought into it. I started out. I didn't. But now I'm full-blown into it. How much more? See that? Yeah. But do we have any questions? Somebody has to have a question.
Hold on. We're going to give you the microphone so everyone can hear you. And we're going to ask you this. We're going to ask you for your name and your department, and then give your question.
I'm Angela from the Onondaga Crime Analysis Center, and I do the notifications over in Onondaga County, Syracuse. But as far as juveniles, we typically don't right now for them, but I was wondering how you guys do it. Like, what services are you able to offer them? Do you know how successful it is? Who goes with you for those?
So we use the juvenile probation system for us. Even if a child isn't on juvenile probation, we'll bring juvenile probation with us because they're able to offer services. Especially, we'll actually get requests. We'll get people to say, hey, it was Lieutenant Jacobson before. Can Lieutenant Jacobson and Stacy Spell come and see our kid? We get all kinds of requests like that. And we'll even ask them, is there special needs? Do we need something else to provide for this kid? And usually, most of the mothers or grandmothers will be like, no, they just need a whooping. And but we don't give those. But we use the services in juvenile probation. Now, our Project Longevity is set up for 18 or above. But we all know juvenile violence is a big problem for us as well. So we'll do the same thing with juvenile violence, and we'll bring juvenile probation.
From our end, our probation department, and they can speak to that. I mean, they're here. They're very aggressive about hitting the juvenile probationers. We want to hit everybody. So your probation, not on probation. That's the one thing that I had, I guess, kind of an issue with the formal call-ins, and I'm not a fan of those. You only have the thumb over them if they're on probation or parole. They're not going to come into a group setting. So unless you force them. And the only way to force them is to threaten to violate their probation or parole status, probation for juveniles, parole for adults, or both. So it's really irrelevant to us how old you are. If we see you engaged in some kind of life-threatening behavior, we're going to knock on your door. We don't care how old you are. It's really irrelevant to us. We're going to everybody, as many as we can.
Other questions at all?
I'm just going to say that the most important targets are the young people, because those are the ones you could save. These other kids, you're not going to get through to them. You're just not going to. But if you're 14, 15, 16, or 17, they may have a chance because they're not that deeply embedded yet. So those are the ones that I like to talk to. When you see the video later on, I'm not sure if it's said in the video, but this kid's 14 years old. So like I said, those are the most important ones to me, because those are the ones we have a chance with. So I think that's it.
Other questions? Somebody? Yep.
Hi, Angela. I'm Mike Kolchansky. I'm with the Probation Department in Onondaga County, and I do a lot of the stuff with Angela with the custom notifications. And I was going to actually ask a very similar question, particularly from probation. We tend to shy away in our county from doing this type of stuff with the family court cases because it's not really, it's not encouraged, I'll say. How does the Probation Department, I'm not sure who from probation is here, but okay. How do you guys, do you have any kickback from the family court judges or from anybody like that when you do that sort of stuff?
No, we don't do formal notification sessions with juveniles, though. You know, the officers would make a lot of home calls. We'll get counselors or people involved, but it's not a formal program like with the adult system. It's kind of intriguing, though, mentioning that juvenile officers go out on cases that aren't on probation for juveniles in your district.
Well, yeah, they'll come with us if we can show a nexus like this kid's starting to be a problem or whatnot. The other thing I forgot to mention is we also use the schools. We use the school USTAT. We have a large USTAT program in New Haven. I actually grabbed the USTAT principal, and he takes me to the juveniles as well. But how we started with juvenile probation was an interpersonal relationship. I had a relationship with a juvenile supervisor. I called her. I said, this was years ago, 2013. I said, this kid is going to get shot. You have to do something. He's going to get shot or he's going to shoot somebody. 2 days later, the kid was shot. And it just went from there because now she trusted me and I trusted her. There's a lot of distrust between police and even probation and parole in the beginning. Years ago, 20 years ago when I started, we didn't talk to probation or parole. Oh, they're going to tell people what our cases are. Well, now we have to talk to them. We have to. We absolutely have to make those immediate contacts and to know where people are. So we invite them in to our police department in the intel meetings. Same thing. Juvenile probation attends our intel meetings. It's law enforcement only, but we invited them in to sit with us. I used to have detectives go, oh, probation and parole here. I'm like, yeah, they're law enforcement idiots because cops didn't realize that. So we had to break those barriers to work together, you know, but that's the biggest thing. You got to get with the right juvenile probation people, share information with them, and then they become your ultimate partners.
The other thing, so we're looking more towards doing full notification sessions for them. You know, it's going to have to change.
That's Brian McLaughlin from Erie County Probation, just so you know. Thank you, Brian. Somebody else? God, I'm getting tired.
Stanford Alt from the Utica Police Department. Just a question. How do you balance the need to formally interview an individual who's a suspect in an active shooting investigation versus going out and giving them a custom notification? And do you communicate with your criminal investigation division before you go out and do your notifications?
So that was one of the pushbacks. A couple of jobs ago, I was in charge of our homicide unit, so I have very good, still good friends, contacts with the sergeants that are in that unit. And I had one of them call me, what are you doing? Like, no, if you have something, you know, but we're not going out asking questions about your, you know, the shooting you were involved in. We're not asking questions about the, you know, what do you know? And this is not an interview. It's not an interrogation. This is you're hanging around with the wrong people and stop doing what you're doing. We don't get into any of that. If there is a real hot topic with somebody, then our homicide, or we have a newly created gun violence unit. It's a year old that handles all the non-fatal shootings. You know, that communication will come then. They know that these two are the really, you know, aggressive notification people, and they'll know, hey, look, this is going on, or we know we have a hot case, but it's, you might be focusing on the same people. It's just, we know what you're doing, and stop, because I don't want to catch somebody and solve a crime. This isn't about clearance rate. This is about stopping crime and having no crime. So they'll do their job, and our job on this end is to prevent crime. So we still want to clear the case, but there's not going to be that interview interrogation type of thing. Mm-hmm.
So if I'm just going to start telling people what we're doing,
We're not even addressing.
not.
We're really talking about the suspects here, not the shooting victims, but we're talking about the suspects. But, I have one of our district attorneys right here. We haven't lost a case. We haven't had, their office, actually, the district attorney of Erie County, is so buying into this program that he met with me to discuss it. He's fully on board with this. The U.S. Attorney's Office is fully on board with this. So, no, we haven't had an issue yet.
It's not necessarily losing the case itself. In fact, Genesini's over there from our district attorney's office as well. It's the value of the evidence that you could lose potentially by doing custom notifications. We have several people that we're looking at right now for shootings. We know who they are. One actually is locked up right now, and they're calling for me to do an interview with them. But when you start doing custom notifications with people saying, hey, man, we know what you're doing. We want you to stay alive, all this stuff like that. Stop shooting, stop playing with guns. At the same time, we're looking at these people, there's 10 guns in the house. Now they all of a sudden, they're putting everything in the car and the guns are gone, and we're doing the investigation still. Now we've lost the evidence for the gun cases we have. Which is more important at this point?
Stopping the violence. So we lose evidence every day. There's things that are happening, guns, drugs, things are being transported every day, and, we're always playing catch up on these. But again, the issue is just stop what you're doing. And if they're going to go transport them, that increases the chance that they're going to get pulled over and get stopped with that. I know what you're saying. I get what you're saying. But you have to do something preventative. You have to do preventative measures. Leaving them alone and not touching them, which has been the course in prior years, then they know that they are still emboldened to go out and do what they're doing. So we have to interdict that and get in front of it and at least stop that. Whatever they did, yes, we have to build the case, and we have to do what we can do to build evidence up and get statements, on that end. This is stopping what we're doing. And
So
I think I'm getting stopped.
So long-term investigations haven't been hindered by
No.
your...
Not one bit.
Okay.
No, not one bit. And we've targeted some pretty bad people. No, we've not had one issue. And I'm not saying there might not be a hiccup along the way at some point, but we have not had it. So our primary goal is to bring our shootings down and our robberies down. That's, those are real people. To this date, as of yesterday, we have 50 less people shot than we had last year. That's the real, those are real lives. So.
One comment, I know Proctor G. Moreci wants us to take our break, but 10 seconds. The whole give thing here, I've been involved in this for 6 years, however long GIV's been going on, and exactly what GIV does is build partnerships, because now on my speed dial, I have probation, I have parole, I have the peacemakers, I have the community members, I have Erie County District Attorney's Office, I have ECAC. So building these partnerships, that's what GIV has done for us, and it's broke down the barriers. And I think that's why we're seeing the success here. And I think that's the best thing that GIV has brought us is the partnerships, because the police can't do it alone, probation can't do it alone, the community can't do it alone. But we see when we all work together, things are getting a little bit better, and I think that'll continue.
So we'll take a 10-minute break. Please come back at 3:30. Same room. You'll see the video. Make sure you come back for the video, and then more questions to finish up the day.
Popcorn, but come back for the movie.
We're going to continue the presentation, but first, I have to mention tomorrow, if everybody could be prompt at 8:30, the keynote speaker is going to speak at 8:30, so try to be prompt. Thank you.
Okay, I ordered the popcorn machine, but it didn't come for the movie. Sorry. There'll be some in a car somewhere, I'm sure, later.
Yeah, we see the lights on and don't nobody want to talk to us. So, Zaire is your son? What did you like?
Hi, how you doing? All right, my mom just died.
Oh,
I'm sorry to hear that.
Sorry to hear that. Well, this this is kind of a good bad situation. This ain't one of these where we're looking to lock up your son, anything like that. Right. We're actually here on, so through this give grant we run, right?
All right, they done sent my people to me.
That's
Okay,
right.
Cover your ears.
Yeah, we see the lights on and don't nobody want to talk to us.
What's up?
So, Zaire's your son? What is you like?
Hi, how you doing? All right, my mom just died. I'm sorry to hear that.
Sorry to hear that.
Go ahead.
Well, this is kind of a good bad situation. This ain't one of these where we're looking to lock up your son, anything like
That's
that.
a plus.
Right. We're actually here on, so through this give grant we run, right?
All right, they done sent my people to me.
That's
Okay,
right. Is he doing these behaviors? So let's go talk to mom, dad, let them know if they're not aware of some of the things he's doing, find out if there's a reason why he's doing these things, and find out if there's something we can do to help.
Okay.
So that we're actually here to try to help you today, believe it or not, right? I know, right? The police helping you.
Well, no, I ain't gonna say that.
Okay.
What? Something initiated
So,
to want
have
to
you
reach
seen
out
this?
to help.
Got that, like,
Yeah, this from, when did y'all get that? Y'all just got this?
9/15, September 15th. But this isn't the first one that he's done.
When was this posted?
No, September 15th, 2 weeks ago.
Oh,
Yeah. So, all right. So you are aware that he's been posting
He done-
online with guns.
he's got kicked out of school for that? That's why when y'all, I don't know why y'all went to my ex-boyfriend mother house, or I don't know
did.
exactly who,
Oh, I was
but
about to say we did.
initially,
Where's
the
that
day,
at?
the day my mom died on Fillmore. Fillmore and Ferry, right across from the Golden Nugget.
No, it wasn't. It might have been something different, not for this
No,
reason.
it was the same thing. But they came, said something about he posted.
But that might have been the school resource officers, not us. See, we run this program through the GIV. So we do some stuff where we're coming out trying to talk to you, trying to get you some help. So they
So
might have
this
actually been
y'all
out,
First time.
yeah, dealing
coming out.
with you.
Second time coming
We
to
came
your
to this
house.
address, but
Okay,
you
I'm
wasn't
about to say,
home
'cause y'all
before.
No, I was home. I was seeing y'all.
No.
Oh,
Well, why
did
you get
you?
your flowers off the porch?
Yeah, your flowers is on the porch. Somebody left your flowers
I
out
had
there.
went out of town. My mother died September
Yeah.
16th.
Okay.
I left. I had to get away, and
Yeah.
okay. So, yeah, y'all came before. Okay.
Right,
Okay.
right.
Yep.
Okay.
So,
Matter of fact, yeah, y'all came. That following Sunday is when y'all went on Fillmore, because the day that I came back from out of town when my mom died, she died September 16th on a Monday. That Thursday, I went to Cleveland, my mom's hometown, and we came back Sunday. That Sunday is the day that y'all went to my ex-boyfriend mother's house on Fillmore for the
that had
same
to be,
thing.
but not for the reason we're here today. We're here to
Okay.
try to get you some services. They might have been there because they're concerned that a kid is posting and he's in school. So that, you know, the school violence and all that. So I don't know who was at on Fillmore, but we never had that address. The only address we had was this address. So I don't know who that. Again, it probably was our school resource officers. They might have been coming in. So, like I said, so what we do is this: we've
Now, is that
identified
a
him.
gun,
through,
a BB?
yeah,
What
no,
kind of
that's
gun
not
is
a
that?
BB gun. Based on what we can tell, it looks real to us because it looks like it's got even a little laser on the bottom of it. So with the little laser on the bottom, I would think it's real. But again, I don't have it in front
And
of
when
me.
was this? September 15th.
This was September 15th. This particular post was made.
Okay. Hold on.
Is he in there?
Yeah.
Okay, yeah, bring him out because we can all talk together.
Zaire, come here. Yeah, I ain't even that type of that's gonna condone. Like, what the fuck is wrong with you?
Right, right.
Why the fuck would you? And you know your situation.
How you doing, young man? What's going on with you? So, I was just telling your mom, today we're here for a good reason. Normally I know sometimes police show up and get a little scared and wonder, man, am I going to jail? So today, really what we're here for is because. Okay, that's fine.
That Lazarus piece. I was about to say, don't please, don't please. Where your little dog at? I got all my mom's stuff and trying to.
That's all right. No. Have a seat. Relax.
So you still posting guns on social media? September 15th, you post a gun on September 15th. This is why they keep coming to my house, because you're posting guns on social media.
I didn't
That's
post
not
that.
you?
I did,
Who
that
posted
is.
it
I
on
didn't
your
post
page?
That. Nobody was on my page. I didn't post that.
Well, where they
You
get
have
it
to
from?
post it, or because it's coming off your page or being reposted. But most of the time, this is coming right off your page.
Fuck social media. You playing with guns?
That's not even a gun.
Oh,
What
yes,
is it?
No, that's not no gun.
What
That's
is
the
it?
same. It's the BB gun.
Nah, not with a laser.
Where's the BB
on
gun
the
at right
bottom.
now?
I'm about to say, okay, so where is that BB gun?
Got
That's
a
the.
laser on the bottom, and I got a clear picture in the car when it's clear. This has got a laser on the bottom. BB guns don't have lasers on them.
Dude, don't play stupid. Don't think I won't jump
I
on
mean,
you
you
because
gotta
the
understand,
police
we know
standing
the
right
difference
here.
between BB guns and real. We wouldn't be here over a BB gun. I mean, sometimes kids do pose with BB guns from the front, but based on what I'm looking at, it's not a BB gun.
Where's the BB gun at right now? This is in the garbage. I thought that was the other one, the other situation that was in this December.
Exactly.
this
So
is
you
right.
turn
So this is
around
still-
after that
No,
and
I
do the
didn't
same
post that
exact. It's
Oh,
you.
no, it was reposted. That wasn't.
Fuck
that
it
was on
being
my page.
posted. It's you with a gun.
So let me say this, man. We're not here because we're here to arrest you over a gun. What we hear is we identify kids we see. I'm not even gonna say kids, young adults that we see doing certain things. Like say if an arrest was made in our district and they were in a car and they was teenagers and they had a gun in the car. So we want to know why is teenagers riding around with a gun? Do they got beef? Who they got beef with? You know what I'm saying?
What you reaching in your pocket for?
Yeah, we don't think
Give me
that's
your
that
phone.
point. I was about to say, man, that was the wrong thing to do right now. Reach for a phone. You know. So, at this point,
You
man.
gonna say something?
So we identify kids, whether it's through arrests in the station, whether it's through other officers coming to us saying, hey, look, we got these kids that we know has been kind of getting in some trouble in school, or through social media postings. The reason why these are important is this. Most gang members, quasi-gang members, wannabe gang members, they use social media to post to taunt each other. And it's usually like, look what I got, come see me. Look what I got, I got one too.
My oldest,
So-
I didn't know that, but my oldest son put me on that. He's like, that's what they do. My
You know, some kids do it to feel important or want to get likes and all of that and look tough because they got a gun. But most of the kids that we're seeing doing it are gang members taunting each other. So I would say 9 out of 10 kids we talk to is usually a gang member, gang associated member, and they're just doing this to taunt another gang member or to show that they got their own protection, you know? So that's why we come out, because with all this gang violence and all these young kids shooting each other over nothing, we figure we come out and show moms and dads these pictures and say, look, I don't know if you know your kid is doing this, but look what these kids are doing. Not only is letting these kids know that we're on to them, but it's also letting you know what's going on. Secondly, is to offer you some service. Say, hey, look, I don't know what else is going on in this young man's life, but is it something that the police department, because what we do is we link up with a custom notification where we come out with Pastor Giles, Stop the Violence.
He linked with that. He linked with Snug. I just got on yesterday, synced up with the library. They doing some type of program. Young audiences. He's on probation. This
he's
is a
already on
direct
probation.
violation.
Right.
I got him in counsel. It's like, dude, come on. Either you want to do the right thing or you don't.
Right.
I'm not. You 14.
And it sounds
You'll be
like you're
15
doing all
this
the
year.
right
I'm not about to
things
keep talking to you about the same thing. I'm not. But like I told him, I don't pay for bullshit. I don't. He got in trouble in December for some dumb shit. Asked him did I pay a red cent to any attorney. Was I able to? Yes. If I wanted to, we gonna make it happen.
Right,
Kids
right.
want to.
Of course.
And I would have. Had it been something that I don't pay for stupidity, period. And you know that.
So let me do this.
So keep
Let me get a
playing
little
yourself.
background because obviously there's a lot going on with this kid. If you already got him in counseling, he's linked up with Snug, so that means you've had some ongoing issues, and he's only 14. That's the scary part. Young man, let me say this to you. Everybody in this room has over 20 years on the police department, all of us, and we all grew up on the east side, all of us. You know what I'm saying? Fruit Belt, Delavan. Where's you, downtown? Right? Where's you? I was downtown, Cold Spring. So we all grew up in the east side of Buffalo. And you're looking at guys, we're all about to retire next year. Be done working around the age of 50. You 14, man. You already on probation. You online posting with guns. Your mother's got you hooked up with Snug and all that at the age of 14. You know where that's going to lead you at, right? By the time you're 16, 17, you're either going to be dead or in jail. You're doing all this at 14, you ain't got a chance, young man. So that's why we're here today. We're here to try to help give mom a helping hand and give you a chance. That's what probation is supposed to be doing. That's what hopefully Snug and some of these other agencies are doing. They're here to try to mentor you to say, look, the things you're doing, you're wrong. And if you think this gang life or this street life is cool, you're going to end up two places, dead or jail. And I know you keep hearing people say it, but it's the God's honest truth. It's only two ways out of the streets, dead or jail. That's the only two ways. Only two ways I've ever seen the guys I grew up with, and I'm sure the only two ways they've seen the people they grew up with. Your mom probably testified the same thing. So I'm sure that's why she's getting you hooked up with all these agencies, because she sees the route you're going. And man, it's a dead end. That's why we're here today. City's saying, come out and talk to these kids, man, because they need somebody to help them. Because we know, I've been in this situation before where I've showed up, talked to a kid like you. 2 weeks later, I was taping off his body, and the mama was running up to the tape saying, Lieutenant Thomas, that's my baby. And I said, ma'am, we've had this conversation 2 weeks ago. So, I don't want that to be you. But the route you're going sounds like it could be. But you got to make some changes. But that's why we're here. That's why mom is hooking you up with these agencies, man, because people care about what happens to you. But that's why I just wanted to kind of give you my spill on why we're here. We're not here to get you in trouble. We're actually here because we want to try to help you. Mom, can you give me a little background information on him, just so I know?
All the way till now. And then to see something like that, you get what I'm saying? I do. See all the way till now. And then to see something like that, you get what I'm saying? I do. So it may have been and he's very silly too. So
The bad thing is he doesn't seem like he's a disrespectful, out of control kid. Like even being here, some kids would be rolling their eyes at you right now, acting like they don't want to sit here. The fact that he's able to sit here.
Mom, go get up.
Yeah, I already know. So why don't we do this then? I don't want to keep you too long. I mean, I just wanted to come and let you know what's going on, let him know we see what's going on, and not only that, like I said, the major thing is see if we could provide some services. I got all your information. What I'll do is I'll leave my number with you also. So we do these custom notifications about once a month, where on Thursdays and throughout the week, on Friday or Saturday, we might come out like today, talk to moms and kids. If it seems like somebody's interested and they want some help, they really want the help, and they need the help, then what we'll do is we'll put you on our list to come out on that Saturday where we with Stop the Violence, Pastor Giles, some of our chiefs. I mean, we got 2-3 chiefs of police that come out on this thing. That's how involved they are with this. And so we're going to try to do is link him up with some additional services, whether it's a counselor or something else, mentoring, something maybe that somebody's not giving you now. Maybe they can guide you to that counselor that you're looking for that might be able to help them because they deal with these type of kids every day. So what we'll do is I'm just going to leave my number and we'll come out. It's usually Saturday mornings. Are you normally home on Saturdays? So it's usually a Saturday morning. It might be a couple because we just did one. So it might be a couple weeks from now. So if you ain't seen us in at least 2 weeks, you will have my number too. If anything in between now and then happens with his behavior, any issues with him criminally or just fine or anything in school, you can still call me and we'll get him in sooner. I'll try to link him up with some services. But if not, then we'll set you up for that custom notification when we do our large group. And then when they come out, what they'll do is give you their business cards, they'll give you their pamphlets, flyers, and they'll take all your information and they'll set up something individually for you to come out with them. Okay? But again, it'll just be added services that what y'all, and that's what he needs. He needs that structure. This probation, snug, stop, wherever else can be in his life, guiding him in the right way.
Right. Trying to keep them busy. So it's like if you're doing this, you ain't got time for that. If you're doing that, you ain't got time for this.
Right, right. Well, I'm glad you opened the door. Peeking through the window talking about some wood. I said, look at her, scared to open the door. Got warrants or something.
I don't though. I'm like, I don't even do nothing no more. So why you like? I don't know. You know, naturally, you see the police at your door. You like.
No, that's what we were talking about. We
And
said
then,
the natural person that ain't in no trouble just open the door and say, oh my God, why is the police here?
right. But then, like I said, originally somebody went to my ex-boyfriend's mother house on Fillmore.
Was it for him?
Yes. My ex-boyfriend called me and I'm like, you gotta be, we don't communicate at all.
Maybe that was the way he just wanted to communicate with you.
No. So then after that, because his mom is the one that answered, she told me this is what it was for. So the reason why when they came twice, this is the police third time here for this incident. But they came to her house. Then after that, they came here. When he was telling me about it, I looked out my window upstairs, seen the guys. They were knocking. So I'm like, okay, well, I don't know. I'm still, you know, it was still
Did something
not
happen
even
in
a
school?
week after
Something
my mom.
different? Because it wasn't this.
No, it was this. At least that's what they told his mother. So I left from here. I had a rental when we went out of town. I returned.
Even the counseling, maybe a counselor that you'll be happy with.
Yeah, he do go to a black lady now at Community Health Center on Benwood.
Okay, okay.
Yeah.
Good,
yeah.
good.
So and
good.
that he actually even opened up and talked to her.
Oh, that's good.
Yeah.
Excellent.
So yeah.
Okay.
All right.
Well, we appreciate you
Thank
taking out
you
the
so
time.
much.
I'm glad you opened the door. See, now ain't you glad you opened the door? It's a good
I'm
thing.
absolutely happy I opened the door this time.
Now you can go tell all your friends how much you love the Buffalo Police, right? All right, have a good night.
All right. I know all of y'all from somewhere, except for
Probably.
Shropshire. I know exactly where I'm going to Y'all have a good one. Thank
All right,
you.
Tuesday.
All right.
All right, bye-bye.
I just came over here for
How about a round of applause for Lieutenant Mitch Thomas, ladies and gentlemen, Buffalo Police Lieutenant Mitch Thomas. I know up until this point you thought I was just eye candy up here. So I'm going to tell you just a little bit of history. This notification sessions, whatever you call them, Buffalo Police Department has been doing some type of this since 1995, way back when the Boston Ceasefire Project had happened and got popularity across the country. The Buffalo Police Department joined with other agencies, and actually it started out with the U.S. Attorney's Office with Project Exile, and that's the formal notification process. And I think in all these years that we've just adapted and overcome different obstacles that came along the way and morphed into something that, as you can see, is a whole lot more personal, taking it right into the house, being able to talk to the moms, the dads, the aunts, the uncles, the caregivers, the grandparents, the friends, the brothers and sisters of those that are just on the wrong path at the present time and that hopefully can be changed. The other obstacle in the way, especially in Buffalo, was the economy, and right now we're doing very, very, very well with a Tesla plant and a Panasonic plant that are up and running, although General Motors is on strike right now, so we have some labor issues there. You heard the Northland project that's part of the Buffalo Billion in our city that just poured money into a beautiful facility to actually give not just hope, but jobs to these kids, because that's what it's all about. We can sit there all day long, and Carmen had mentioned it earlier. It's what we've been doing as police officers for forever. We've always talked to kids. We've always tried to help people. We've had police athletic leagues and other programs in place for years and years and years and years. But this just takes it to that different level where, besides just saying, hey, you got to get out of the gang life, how do they get out of the gang life? That's why we bring the clergy. If you don't know about God, or you don't have a God, or you want to know about God, here's a clergy member that's going to help you find a way, find a path. It might not be his church that you end up in, but at least you're going to go somewhere. You're going to find an imam or a pastor or somebody that's going to help you and lead you to a different life. You need a job, obviously. So that's where this Northland comes along, and the Buffalo Employment Training Center both offer job services. The one's actually like an unemployment office that offers a GED program, because you need the GED or a high school degree to get into the other program. So all those services now are being offered. That's at that custom notification, and that's the beauty of that. Going back years and years ago, when it was that formal notification process, we used to have the whole front of it was in a formal ceremonial courtroom in Erie County, and we had the whole front of the courtroom stacked with cops. And we'd sit there. I heard somebody mention rolling eyes. Well, there's a full audience of rolling eyes, because it was probationers and parolees who were forced to be there. And you're trying to get their attention, and all we're doing is beating them down, telling them, you screw up again, we're going to get you. It's his job to get you. He's from this agency. It's his job to get you. He's from that agency. It's his job to get you. He's from the FBI. He's from the CIA. He's from wherever, and we're going to get you. That's changed now, because the message slowly but surely got across to, not only are we going to get you if you do wrong, but we're here to help you. And then that's when we started realizing, bringing the mom of a victim, a shooting victim, a murder victim. One of the best women we've ever had is a young kid by the name of Matthew Elliott, who got shot after a dance and run over by a car. And you want to hear compelling testimony in front of a bunch of parolees and probationers, that's when they stopped rolling their eyes, and that's when it hit home. That's when they realized, I'm not going to see my baby because I'm going to be going to jail or I'm going to be dead. Those were the messages that we finally learned along the way to send. Now they're becoming very, very much personal, with personal, custom, and personal mini notifications. So that's kind of our history and process, and I think we've come a long, long way. And the other point is, what doesn't get measured doesn't get done. So when the deputy at the end of the slide presentation shows you those numbers, that you see a 37% decrease or a 50% decrease or 300% increase in custom notifications, that's because we're now tracking what it is that we're doing so that we can measure. And the final thing that I think I'll leave you with is it doesn't matter how many times, you heard it before, it doesn't matter how many times we go back to that same house. It just doesn't matter. One of those times it might hit home. It might strike the right chord with that kid and stop him from doing destructive things. We got room, time for questions. If anybody has a question. Final joke. New York State has only one football team, the Buffalo Bills. I'll remind you that. Connecticut has none. So this morning on our way here, I got a call that one of our detective cars actually had all 4 tires stolen off of it overnight. And our detectives are working tirelessly right now. I'll leave you with that. Thank you very much. You've been a good audience.
Thank you.